Let's bring in Fox News senior strategic analyst, retired General Jack Keane. General, thanks for being here. Here are the key takeaways from this meeting. U.S. cuts China tariffs by 10%. China agrees to crack down on fentanyl. U.S. suspends new entity list rule and Section 301 tariffs on China. China pauses rare earth export controls, suspends counter tariffs, and agrees to buy U.S. soybeans. As you hear the White House talk about this, the president talk about this, what's your sense of what transpired there?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're seeing something that's a little different in terms of the president's trade policy and the tariff policy underpinning that. And what's happening here is trade is becoming a part of foreign policy, and this president is exercising that disproportionately to any of his predecessors. And by any definition, you've got to characterize the trip as successful, not just on China, but the trade deals he's made with the other countries. But focusing on China, I mean, he really went in here with his wind at his back, much different than the first administration when he met with President Xi multiple times. Our economy's thriving. Xi, for the first time, is really having some serious headwinds in his 12-year reign as the president. And much more than that, he had two key partners, Iran and Russia. And look what happened here. The United States and Israel set back Iran for years in the region, with the possibility of enduring peace on the horizon here and normalization with Israel, with the countries in the region, to include the Arab countries, right on the horizon. Something no one would foresaw a year or so ago. But here we are. And when you look at Russia, I mean, Russia, their economy is tanking, and the war is not going well. Let's face it, they're in their fourth year. They haven't taken a major city since 2022. And in the last year plus, they've been conducting this major offensive to take all of the Donbass region in southern Ukraine. And what have they taken in the last year? 0.6% additional territory. That is failure in terms of meeting their objectives, and over 1,000 casualties a day. That is not sustainable over the long haul. And Trump has finally given up on this guy because he talks nice, but he continues the war. Yep. And now President Trump is doing what? He's upgunning him, removing weapons restrictions, and he's also putting sanctions on him. I think he's fed up with Putin once and for all. So I think this trip, the reason why he's so successful with China and got everything he asked for, because he's coming in there with a much stronger position, for sure. And Xi is paying attention to what is happening across the globe, and President Trump's influence in being the world's #1 global leader by far. Anything that we saw by comparison to the previous administration is completely different.
He's touting the successes, the trade's wins, but the other thing we've talked about a lot is putting pressure on Vladimir Putin. We saw it with the India trade deal on oil and the tariff on India. Chinese imports of Russian oil, 2.2 million barrels per day, more than $62 billion spent. China has really the key to pressuring Russia.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I really would have liked that to been on the agenda. Maybe it was on the agenda. I don't know if it was talked about. I think if it was and any progress would have been made there, we would know about it. I really do think that China clearly matters in sustaining Russia, not just with the oil, but that's primary. But they provide everything short of a weapon system to them to keep them moving. They are their #1 supplier in keeping Putin in the war and compensating for the shortfalls he has in his defense industrial base. And we're going to have to deal with China when it pertains to support for Russia at some point here.
Yeah, let me quickly ask you about this U.S. nuclear testing. The last test the U.S. did was 1992. Why do you think we're starting again?
You know, I can only speculate here, but it's been known for a number of years, Brett. I mean, the three countries that are testing openly nuclear weapons are India, Pakistan, and North Korea. We have suspected for years, and likely Trump took a briefing before he went on this trip, that China and Russia have been secretly testing nuclear warheads. And likely the president has a pretty good fidelity on what that is. if that actually has been taking place. And that may have been on his mind, knowing that reality. I'm only speculating as to why he wants to resume that testing, because he wants to shut them down. This isn't, he doesn't want to escalate. As you well know, he wants to reduce the number of nuclear weapons we have while China is expanding it, trying to catch us and go past us. He would like to get into a deal with China, Russia, and the United States sitting down around a table, and let's reduce the number of nuclear weapons. Russia's increasing theirs because they've got tactical nuclear weapons now, because they broke part with the IMF treaty that Reagan established. And Xi is on the march with modernized nuclear weapons, and his desire is to go right past what Russia and the United States have. And when you're looking at you got to look at both of them as being adversaries of ours, and combine their nuclear weapons together is the issue for the United States in dealing with this. And it's no wonder the president wants to sit down and have a discussion on bringing this all down to something that's far more reasonable.
General Keane, as always, thank you.
Yeah, great talking to you, Brett.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.